This game is called Tiny Bunny. And it is a reading-based game. Story, as you may say. So I'm going to read you guys a story. There's decisions you can make, that kind of thing. But, strap in, get a snack, get a drink, as we talk about the tale of Tiny Bunny. Warning, this game contains offensive language and scenes of physical and psychological violence. Proceed with caution. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing, arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own. Freaky old mind of the building that seemed a lot in its old days, and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with its inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with us hollow-eyed eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind wouldn't possibly do any harm. It's just to play the light and the shadow. Just to play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Oh, that's a fox. Episode 1. The Owl Will Arrive.
Убери книгу немедленно.
Hey! Put away your book.
Сколько раз говорила, не читай за столом, вредно. Сидишь, сутулился весь.
Okay, hold on. Voice. God. Thank you. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look how slouched you are. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olya had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic, she almost looked like a typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy, anxious, welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Cottonseed Odyssey. I loved that show. I wonder how terrifying the bottom of the oceans. Or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this, carved in the other side of the table? Corinne. Ka-er-na. That's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I had done something similar, though. Should I remind her about that? No. She's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age, sitting under the table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed, where Olga sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Taiga is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, I won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you into the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. There were times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought the casket, and she called to her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time I was alive. Only all the photos were gone. Glass covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olga was done with her cookies and was looking at my chair like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze towards the frosted window. There was a lot of dark pines outside. They didn't grab my attention. The pattern of the frost formed a picture on the glass. Olga! Look, it's a fox! Where? It looked almost like these optical illusion thingies they put on the back of the students' notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle. Not outside, on the window! Look! Here's the nose, and here's... Hey! Eat up! Yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up! There's not much left. Ah, there it is! But it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you, it does! Nuh-uh! It does! Stop it! These kids, I swear! Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frost pattern, similar to stretched out nettle leaves, kept creeping up the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like that when I grow up. Mom would always ask, jokingly, "Come shave it off, it stings." That was long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were everyday occurrence. Olga always covered her ears whenever she heard something like, "What's the point of all this?" though through the walls. "It's all for your sake," Dad would reply. "For the sake of our family." I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded and deadliest word. It started with a D-I-V-O. I didn't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families. Anyways, your fox was nothing. I have an owl in my window. You and your owl will talk again. You said you believed me just yesterday. Has anyone seen my car keys? I remember leaving them in the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did, maybe not. You're a grown man, a father of two, and still... Karen, please stop. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basket near the phone. Well, thank you very much. Anton, stop making a martyr of yourself and finish eating already. But the owl! There is no owl. But there was one! It had giant glowing eyes. Olga sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers the size of an apple each. Last year, you had Bambi in your closet and now an owl? But I saw it! Olia shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice. Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's little. Olia pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase was led to the second floor. Creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted, and in reply and left, ringing with keys he just found. A minute had passed, and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was sorted on incredibly worn-out cassette tapes, which Dad already had glued together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved in the living room, and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Olia had trouble sleeping ever since she was in this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under the blanket. Sometimes she would jump in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped to take her mind off all the troubles we had with the moving and our parents. And then Olia said she saw the giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Her parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of these ridiculous fears. Olia refused to sleep alone and didn't believe the owl was just one of her nightmares. After last night, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of myself. Nightmares be infectious. That night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect from my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of the new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to the classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures, cut out using templates. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces. A pair of eyes blinked inside these holes. It was as if some completely different creature were looking at me from behind the flat, black silhouettes. Their cruel glares filled with icy sneers made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down, stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous ones. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olia begged me to hang them there. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as this late. The small circle of friends I had almost enjoyed my paintings. They promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number," or "Anton's not around." Anton is not around. I imagine my future classmates laying on their beds, just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little. Now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbors' drills, mumbled with the TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. The current house, though I can't really call it new, it's completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners of the closet, cobwebs under the stairs. They all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner. Almost as if the old photos of my deceased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place with my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic ritual. Damn, stop squeaking! And then I realized it was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with the sounds of the wind, of the creaking old house. My thoughts, too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Open. Someone was dancing in the field. Dude, this art is fantastic, by the way. Black silhouettes I could barely make out in the darkness of their backdrops. They jumped around, basked in the moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around, and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circling around, holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadow for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the time. Suddenly, the music stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear, pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre snow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Mike, thank you for the raid! Oh shit. It glided on squeaky snow, leaving without any prints until it was devoured by pitch black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. They saw me! A freezing torment of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around looking for existence. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be on off with the front door. Rosie, Nico, thank you for the follow! I had the beer from the Vikings are here. Nah, I love that. I jumped into bed and covered myself with blankets as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remember the funeral, my grandma laying there, hands crossed on my chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of my chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagine these little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkled eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure. And now, lying under the blanket and listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Bion, underneath the Blism sun in the sea a color of blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lying lard and ashen hair, for the spawn from devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone. God's faith, servant's name, Anton. Evil leave this house must. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hanged man. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound of scratching at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone were scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had been very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust! I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy, weak before the might of darkness. And then the doorknob twitched slightly. Then it turned halfway, once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more, and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear, and my wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked open. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin dream. Now, you'll see the door was wide open. The darkness writhed inside the carnivorous mouth of the doorway. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. My abdomen tightened, and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. Before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tosh, are you asleep? My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Olya? I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olya frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign she was about to cry. It's there again. It's staring at me. Shoo her away, Tosh. Please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olya down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Olya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? The question took me by surprise. All right, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied by the fear of the lard and long ashen hair. Tosh, you coming? Yes, just a moment. Jesus Christ. Holy crap. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olga or Al in the morning. Who are we visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled after that from a silly thought that our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. Then mine was urging me to hide. In the closet. Under the table. Behind the curtains where Olya's always hides. Tosh, come here! I felt the kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged me towards the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello? The senior officer who wore a grim expression nodded. A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name was Voiva. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The police held out a photograph to me. Hello there, Mr. Officer. Ooh, it's a kitty cat. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a well carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window. That's right. Your window looks straight at the forest, don't they? The window. No, I haven't seen anything. I see. He sounded tired, but his eyes. He stared long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of the guilt which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway. The stairway, the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit. It's our little daughter misses the city a lot. Missing the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything is all right, thank you. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his brown eyes, my head starting spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked with a shaky voice that looked like a polite boy to the end of an unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles. Always indoors and reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll in the police school when his family visited this summer. Wanted to help other people, just like me, you see. I felt uncomfortable, as if a disdained relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home, steer away from trouble. The times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Well then, What grade are you in, Anton? 6th. Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'll be going to school for the first time after the break. And then I'll leave you my number, just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone, along with the shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and the photo of the smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I wonder what it's like for him, being all alone there. For some reason, I thought of the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? What would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it, poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off towards the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all these teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I read all summer. Yeah, okay. Cool, I have a gloss ready. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people. And after a set of amazing adventures, BAM! Solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footsteps that led to the forest. And then it clicked in my head. Why didn't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find the lost boy. And I'll get a reward. Olga would be so happy. And not only Olga, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about the quarrels for a while. Maybe even say it was from the D word. Fantasized about buying Olga a Tamagotchi, and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time my parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job. That's about an annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what was the accountant's job like. They count money, I think? Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets. Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olga. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues. Are you going outside? Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photo next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals or something even worse? Even worse echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said? Or should I repeat myself? Better go pack your school bags or play with Olya. The spout of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. A dark, stuffy closet. My mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates it when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. And Olya can't even be lured into the closet. She thinks Bambi is living there. I tried to help her fight her fear once. I opened the door and turned on a dim lamp so she could see there was nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I liked to hide in the closet and listen to Olya count outside. 1, 2, 3, better hide from me. And then drag her feet on the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. We'll go to the kitchen. This art is actually fantastic. Give me a second. I'm gonna take a fantastic, actually. Let's open the freezer. Grandma kept ice cream for me and Olga in there, but now I can only see meat bits for soup and clumped together pelmeni. I grew to hate them already. Turn back. Lie to Mom. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there's all stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. Ah, you're killing me here. So, have you had enough shooting these stupid ducks now? Told you the kinescope will go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the settings. Please go see for yourself. Strange. They worked fine this morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olya's room. Now's my chance! I opened the front gate and went to the field carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half of the distance towards the forest and the snow piles became as high as my knees, I remembered my nightly fears. I saw these silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of the day, those distant figures felt like simple dreams. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there. Distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent, I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no parenting, no Ogla. The time reached its limit. A one-way trip that ended in the forest piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any reason. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Ilya turned to stone, listening to them. But then, always came to the ringing silence. Our apartment became a numb couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, spent time together. Almost like all of it was a previous life. When they kissed with Olya present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if the fire broke out and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people who dead cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms in the black ground and everything? And somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There were only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in the contrast of the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotted leaves and contiguous needles froze in the ice. Dry, prickling branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable things around the fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Look at the glove. Some object was hanging from one side of a pointy branch. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow. When I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Kunzvan from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was also always anxious. I tried to look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova! I heard a distant shout. It looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Vova! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still. Something was unsettling about this figure. Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally towards the ground. Its blackness. There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings wildly. A shadow split from the trees and disappeared from my sight. I looked away just for a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. Oh, tracks. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. We gotta get it! We gotta take the mitten, right? I decided to take the lonely mitten from the branch. Oh! Oh! Over! Whoop! A shout rumbled across the field and dissolved into the distance. No echo, no hope for reply. Whoop! Whoop! I stepped towards the bristly trees and tried to claim my find. It didn't budge. I pulled harder, the branch creaked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking. Something dark spilled out from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. Oh, fuck. I froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Red. The sound of creaking branches invaded the silence. I didn't even have to think twice before running away. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll be dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason. It gave me the strength that spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. I felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils stuck in the freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot. A wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried-up raspberry bush, from the twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry! Run! Don't look back! It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became vicious with like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap, trying to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure of my leg was gone. My boots slipped out of the hole and my sole were on a hard surface again. I reached a path, clear path, and one jump from there ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if the dog was striking the wood with his paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already at the front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and obediently gave away. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of a pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed into me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweet. Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same fragile voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly are you understand when I told you never to slam the door? I didn't mean to. She snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone. The breath was too. There was someone on the first place. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring. And with the last bit of strength, I had left my body too. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mass of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked like the same as before, all those squirrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you? I got afraid she was cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put up her usual face. Her eyes shined with steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought... I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned forward towards me and sniffed my clothes like a beast searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked to the front yard. Her expression changed for an instant, and she covered her mouth with her hand. Look over there at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again and my pursuer were following me into the field. I could swear that I heard something scratch at the door, just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger, and I gathered all the remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in snow through the icy winter patterns of the glass. Dogs! Just a small pack of strays with no name and no owner, barely reminded of the hungry monsters that live on the edge of the forest. Oh boy, you were scared of them? I think they'd rather be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me, like a bunny. And what if they're rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from my mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if that was her first time seeing them. What if they attacked Olia? Mom? I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Mom, look! They're alive! Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Pick up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. My mom sighed in annoyance, and I felt bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner just to keep myself from crying. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life amongst monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. And for what? What use do I have for this? Mitten. Of course! The dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I had clutched it the whole time. That's my trump card as a detective! I hurried to present the clue to my mom. Mom! Look, this is Bully's mitten! The boy the police were talking about this morning! It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging in the tree. I can show you where. Let's call the police right away, like the officer had told us to. Mom, look! Ew. The shadow of doubt slowly crept to my mom's comfort face, as if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dream, but the image slipped away. Stop at this moment! Olia will go insane if she hears you. She already has trouble sleeping and whines all the time. And you just joke around like this? At the moment, I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink to the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy. Who cried wolf? Oh, don't just stand there. Come take your pills. The golden-colored pill, reminiscent of a dead wasp, fell into my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over to me. I told you to stay home, and you... Dad would have given you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it or you won't be able to sleep at night. And you just have school tomorrow. So, I just had to swallow the bitter medication, drinking it down with a similarly awfully water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe this wasn't Volia's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters. And Olia's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my overexerted brain didn't let the fear inside anymore. Sincerity washed over me, bringing yawning indifference along with it. Anton, do you see? See, you can do it when you try. Take off your coat. Are you asleep? No, I was thinking. What about, I wonder? It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came from the forest. Is everything all right? You had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm all right, Mom. She heaved a deep sigh. Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bottom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. Melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olia was done rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episode and switched to other tapes. I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopping before the sink and studying my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot a difference puzzles. Then I went upstairs. Jafar's and Lagu's voice died down. I walked past Olia's bedroom and slipped into my own. The forest didn't look like it's grim during the day. Tangled tree branches in the distance and the snowy field between our houses and the forest brought sleeplessness to my eyes. But sometimes I would still catch myself looking at the window at the icy treetops instead of doing my homework. How strange. I remember moving the curtain. I dreamt of becoming an artist since Dad bought me my first comic book. Fly magazine was the coolest. Especially like the big space-related edition with alien monsters and this funny episode about Grande. I started drawing all kinds of stuff since that day. I've learned to getting pretty good at it. One of my letters even got published in Fly once. Maybe someday they'll be even publish my comic. Monster Ghosts, UFOs. Encyclopedia of Paranormal Phenomenon from Roseman Publishing. I've learned about the Loch Ness Monster, Medusa Gorgon, and Bigfoot from here. Olia is always scared of the book. She could barely handle stiffing through the monster and alien section with me, but the middle part, where they started talking about ghosts, really freaked her out. I remember hunting ghosts after I read the book. I measured the distance between items on my table every morning and checked if they moved due to some superficial force come the morning. They didn't. But to be honest, what was I expecting? To meet Casper the Ghost? My best work. I know all about sorts of dinosaurs, velociraptors and pterodactyls, hippoglypherants, tons. Fuck that. I remember going to the movies to see Jurassic Park back when we still lived in the city, taking pictures with the T-Rex in the hall. It turned its head and roared. It was awesome. And next to it was the Robotech Transformer. I love that cartoon. When a jet fighter speeds up into the intro among the sound of blaster fire, you know your next 20 minutes is surely amazing. Zentriad space station is captured. Rick, get ready for battle! One of the drawers was empty. I hid the mitten there. A simple action drained the last bit of my strength from me. I sat on the bed. And only then did I notice there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort as if the walls was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The corners of the room bent and undulated. The only stable thing on the whole room was a figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth that stuck in my hidden visitor. It reminded me of the burial sheets. Olia? Who else could be standing there? I stood up and licked my dry lips. Yeah, Olia, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached towards the curtains. But beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang afield with coerced voices. For a second, I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtains, knowing full well that they were looking back at me. They were looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder when I pulled open the curtains. Gotcha! I knew it was you from the beginning! A blindingly bright halo lit up above Olia's head with the setting sun in the background. My sister was shining. And she was just a baby. Dad always used to say she was just shining with happiness. I always retorted, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. But I brought her into the window one day and sunlight poured all on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a light. A woven child. I saw everything! Oh, really? What did you hide? She was just like my mom when she was little, before she put on a sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commending tone of voice. It's nothing, just... Olia ran up to the table, her eyes round and asked. You stole something and hid it there? Are you a thief? What? Just don't be stupid. I didn't steal anything. A clear image came into mind, the mitten hanging from the tree branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest, from the tilted figure standing behind black trees. Olia could be selfish and stubborn when she wanted. Show me then! Swear that you won't tell anyone when I show you. Olia wore a plotting smile. I swear it on Mom's heart! An oath she heard in one of the movies about the pioneers we've watched. Don't say things like that. Olia nodded and made a gesture with her hand, locking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer, and Olia leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like there was not just a simple mitten, but some sort of exotic creature. Is that someone's mitten? She said that if she couldn't understand what she saw. A certain boy lost it. Lost himself. Now do you understand how dangerous it is for kids to wander in the forest, right? He must be really cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house, showing his photo to everybody. Olia traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window. And why are they going to the houses and not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. They are already scouted the forest. Yeah, right, flashed in my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny where darkness, cold, and whispers of icy branches dwelled? If that was the case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later for me? I changed the topic, as if trying to get Olia as far as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if you go find this boy by myself. A lot of stuff like the Wheel of Fortune. Sounds cool, right? Olia wasn't listening to me. She was piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic of her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense! An owl won't be able to lift a human. But, you know what? I was picking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's... How should I put this? Cursed or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, more like in that spooky tape her parents hide from us. Olia shivered and stole a glance at the window. I saw you running away. Someone was chasing you? No, it's just... I was hurrying back home so Mom wouldn't be worried. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile. It was easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mom wouldn't let me go outside. I'm like a princess in a tower. Can't go anywhere. I'll die before boredom here. You're wrong. No one ever died of boredom. And you have me and your cartoons, and Mom and Dad will be good to each other soon. You know what I would wish for on my next birthday? I wish for Mom and Dad to turn into children so we could all go play together like we used to. Yeah, and if you'd make them as small as bugs, we could place them in a little box. Olia giggled and tucked up my sleeve. Tosh, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue won over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired. I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone, and Mom's always busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all your tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? And so much happened after that. Let's go, let's go! Maybe a bit later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I won't tell you tomorrow! I know! Let's play hide and seek! No, Olia. Then draw me a dino. Olia, please. Draw it! Draw it! Leave me alone already! I blurted out without thinking, and then I was immediately taken aback. I never screamed at my little sister like that. Olia stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What happened to me? I hurried to prevent Olia from crying. Alright, you win. Let's go watch cartoons for a bit. I don't wanna. I came up to her, putting my hands on her soft head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Boo, you fall asleep again. She smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and full of and felt bottomless. I won't, I promise. And I'll draw you a full Triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops! Oh, close enough. Olia rubbed her eyes with a sleeve on her pajamas, and a shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread, and you rewind the tape. The bread is fresh, just like how you like it. Alright, just be careful not to spill the milk. Or you'll get yelled at again. I want to bet I won't spill it. The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Olia disappeared into the doorway and dragged my feet into the neighboring room. Scary window where Olia sees the accused owl every night lurking in the dark. Olia keeps the curtains open during the day, but as soon as the twilight comes, she shuts them tight, so she wouldn't see the pair of hungry eyes outside. Doggo. So there is stuff to click on. Oh, a piggy bank. Olia is saving money for a real puppy because Dad said that she could take care of him. It will take a lot of money. Olia's countless toys. An old teddy bear is the main attraction here. Olia doesn't sleep without it. And she digs her nose into the furs when she sleeps. An old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left was clicking the bottom of the front panel. Too warmed up and familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and blurry images appeared for the moment. It was a dark tage forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembled human speech was coming from the speaker. Just a few minutes later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did I catch some road channel? Local TV stations really only showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently I used to always watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna? What if I catch the signal again? On the other hand, Olia had asked me to find the tape. Wouldn't be nice to disappoint her. But, in my sleepy state, I don't have the strength to do all of it. We'll search for the tape. I sifted through the shelves of dolls and blue hippos from Kinder Surprises. Look at that. I found the tape I needed thanks to its shabby spine. I got the black rectangle from its box. The tape inside, it rustled while rewinding to the beginning. This rustling was lulling me to sleep. The drowsiness attacked me while I was squatting before the TV. Images whirled in my head, me and Olga flying above the forest, tumbling into soft clouds. My little sister is laughing, but her smile becomes more and more forced with every passing second. I noticed that the clouds underneath us part, bearing the bristling pine tops. Swampy darkness slurped among the trees. The wings are no longer able to hold us and Olia. You haven't started without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with unevenly cut bread and the whole can of condensed milk. I rubbed my eyes. No, come sit. Mom and Dad are arguing again. They're going through rough times. Rough times are lame. On the screen, Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow in the dresser. Willie was entertained by the cartoonish dog, Nana. Maybe Mom and Dad will buy us a dog too? Yeah, right. Look at that. I'll have my own dog in the Neverland. And cat. And a parrot. Olia smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of condensed milk and handed it to me. Have you lost all your baby teeth? Obviously. Olia frowned deep in thought. Peter Pan has baby teeth. What if they won't let you go to this land with adult teeth? We'll think of something. We'll ask Dad to alter your age in the passport. And why would Dad for documents? Leah took a bite from the sandwich and started talking with her mouth full. Mom thought he did before. You'll grow ears as big as Dumbo's. Olia got worried and touched her ears. I smiled to myself. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured bread, watching the adventures of Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, and James Hook. As if she got stuck into the fairy tale Neverland. To be honest, I also imagined myself there in a land where no one never ages. Where no one argues over little things. Where no one listens to fights and the sound of the broken plates at night. It felt like I was dreaming and my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back to reality. Tosh, shut the curtains fast! Why? No one's watching you. It's dark, and when it's dark, the owl comes. I'm scared. I got out of bed, fighting my drowsiness, and closed the curtains. I did my best not to look outside towards the treetops, towards Taiga Forest, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a vessel. A visual effect from the shadows of branches scraping the snow. Tosh, Mom thinks I made the owl up. Dad, too. Thinks I'm a liar since I'm small. But the owl exists. Honestly, it does. You believe me, right? That it comes every night and... I swiftly grabbed Olga's hand and looked at her in her eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination. But did I really have those qualities? Yes, I believe you, alright? Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're already dealing with a lot, and so they'll just get mad at you. Come and tell me if anything happens. And don't look out the window. But it wants me to look. Doesn't matter. Act like it doesn't exist and never existed. Like it was made up, just like Mom and Dad says. I'll get tired of waiting and fly away. We followed Peter Pan's adventures as if nothing had ever happened. As if the forest didn't kidnap kids. As if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from a crocodile, and Captain Pan was headed to London on a glided sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my little sister. Olivia's eyelids had dropped. She started snorting lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. I stood up and left Olia's room. I was looking out the window studying the field when Mom peeked into my room. Enough playing around. It's your first day of school tomorrow. Go to bed. You should sleep properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Damn, Mom. Jesus Christ. Adults think everything's so simple. As if sound sleep would ensure my classmates would like me. I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just a part of growing up. I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Something ethereal, and some ethereal entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on and on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. It has come after all. The day I feared most. The first day of a new school term. That is episode 1 of Tiny Bunny. Episode 2. Okay, let me take a drink here. Get my throat together. Time to play with you? Yeah. Yep. Episode 2, time to play with you. So that's a little creepy. Let's see what's going on here. I have no idea. New school, new teachers, and most importantly, new classmates who I always have trouble connecting with. Like most other kids with glasses, probably. I forced myself to get out of my warm bed. Dad would usually drive me to my old school, but this morning the bedroom of my parents was silent. Did they sleep in? Maybe it was a good thing. I didn't want to get the daddy's boy reputation from day one. My parents were probably still tucked in, dreaming about the good old days when everything was so simple and easy. Sweet dreams, even if far removed from reality. I silently sneaked out to the first floor so I wouldn't wake up anybody, especially the peaceful sleeping Olia. I did my best to step in the middle of every floorboard. I used to play like this even in our old apartment. If my soles touched the space between floorboards, they counted it as a stepping into lava. The clock was spurring me on with its hands. I need to hurry. Faster! Faster! It was too fast, so I needed to circle the hallway once again. Boiling lava was bursting out of the cracks between the floorboards. I needed to catch my step to survive at any cost. Hippity hop like a frog jumping on molehills, like a fearful bunny in a grove full of wolves. I made a sandwich in the kitchen, shoved it down my throat, and drank it down with cold tea. My appetite was as good as someone who'd led up to Schofield towards the guillotine. I lowered my gaze and sat at one of my feet was standing on 2 floorboards at the same time. Burned to a crisp, huh? I moved my foot. Disgusting little snakes writhed in my belly. The fear of getting hit and being called nasty names. The clock clicked, click. I need to go. It was dark outside, fitting for an early morning winter. This darkness never fully left the house around here. I took my time tying my shoes, buttoning up my puffy down jacket, trying to delay my unpleasant exit into the semi-dark, into the unnerving unknown. I rubbed my glasses for good luck, though. I couldn't remember a single time these thick pieces of glass brought me any good fortune. Out I go. The sky was akin to a giant bruise. On the east side of it, a black cloud was swelling up. It licked up the stars from the sky and exhausting the rising sun. Darkness was plastered all over the treetops. The cautious cries of birds got tangled up in the thicket. I locked the front door with a long key that I wore around my neck. My parents made me wear this noose, afraid that I, being a total klutz that I am, could lose the key otherwise. The wind whizzed on the other side of the gate and invited me into my new life, towards dubious adventures. I tagged along like an old buddy, pushing me in the back. Wide shadows that pines throughout covered the third of the clearing. Upon reaching the edge of the forest, I hid my nose in the coat's collar. I was squeezing through the thin firebreak, my hair ruffled up and my back hunched over. Tall trees stood on both sides of a tiny trail. The snowy blanket rustled under my feet, and the canopy of intertwined branches above my head cut me off from the already sparse starlight. The night had no plans of moving away from the forest. In this darkness, trees reminded me of shaggy old women that smelled the brutal earth. Their trunks turned into cracked, wrinkled faces with holes in the middle of their mouths. If I lost focus, even for a moment, mold-covered witches would drag me into the forest's depths. Then my parents would be walking around these parts screaming my name, but the dead can't answer the living. Or can they? A sense of panic was growing in my chest. I was fine with Dad carrying me into the school with his hands by now, as if safe from watching the darkness rise up in the ravenous of the black doe. It felt like someone jumped into the bushes behind me, so I turned around. As soon as I started walking faster, I heard the snow squeak behind me. The forest took a deep breath with a giant lung. The windfall cracked. The wind and the birds were left behind in the field. Now I could only hear the forest creak. I walked, listening closely, and the unseen presence grew stronger, as if someone was following me, trying to match the pace of my footsteps. I turned my head so fast it made my neck crunch. The trying trail behind me disappeared into the darkness. Tree branches overlapped, forming a natural tunnel. "Who's there?" The question escaped my lips and dissolved into the unending creaking sound of the wood's idols. The pines around me. Why did I think going through the forest alone was a good idea? I'm either going mad, or someone had intentionally lured me away from home. Distant lights granted me a smidgen of hope. A country road. I ran there as fast as I could, as if afraid that the trail will shrink. Clawed hands will grip me by the shoulders, turn me around and make me look at the faces of hungry forest denizens. In the end, nobody stopped me. I almost flew to the decrepit wooden bridge, disbelieving my luck. The bridge supports bathed in the spring tar of icy cold. I put my hands on my knees and looked up at the forest. Then snorted, trying to calm my breathing. The thicket was pretending to be asleep. It looked peaceful, lifeless. The remaining part of the commute lied through the snow-laden road, illuminated by spare lamplights. I chased away bad thoughts and ran as fast as I could from one circle of the light to another, seeking protection from the electric lamps. Just like that game where you need to be the first to proclaim, "I'm protected." It's just in the case that protection was flimsy at best. The darkness wreathed outside the bounds. Then I noticed something remarkably eerie. In place where the light from the insil lamp couldn't reach, a hairy, crooked shadow came alive with a guttural roar. It almost felt like its features deterred light, its unnatural pose installed fear. My eyes almost popped out of its sockets as I just stood there, blinking, trying to chase away that illusion. But the snow didn't disappear, and even got closer. My insides was gripped by horror. I stepped back and almost fell into a snow pile. The black silhouette, on the other hand, straightened up and addressed me in a sweet voice. "Sneaking around, huh? Trying to steal my soul?" Words got stuck in my throat. Who could be talking in such a silky voice between the forest and the dormant village? "Will you say something, dummy? The cat got your tongue? All right, I'll bite off your nose then. I'll teach you not to poke into places that doesn't belong." A girl stood before me, judging from the voice and the silhouette. But I couldn't even reprimand myself for getting scared by a girl before noticing a gaping mouth under her hood where something dangerously shiny inside. I was stunned. From the cavity of her hood, a frighteningly real fox face was staring back at me. It's just her jaws weren't moving and her eyes were blinking. A mask! It's just a girl with a fox mask. At least I wanted to think that. After a surprise like that, a nervous smile involuntarily crept onto my face. I wasn't going to school and then you... What about me? You've never seen a fox feed a dog? And indeed, there was a small dog circling the girl's legs, One of the strays that were chasing me yesterday, probably. Sorry, I didn't mean to... After hearing my voice, the dog whimpered, lowering its ears, sniffing me out, and then started wagging its tail. I guess it still smelled the bologna that I ate for breakfast. I was shifting my gaze back and forth from the dog to the girl. She didn't seem scary anymore. Just weird. So, you didn't mean to, huh? What's your name? I'm Anton. And you? And I'm not. She's weird. Definitely losing a couple loose screws. But she was a nice voice. My astonishment was turned into a mix of happiness and relief. This girl didn't know... I didn't know was definitely human. A bit eccentric. I was also a bit angry with myself. This foxy girl was walking through the darkness without a problem, and I'd shuddered from every little sound. I could just walk away, but the girl had piqued my interest. The next time a police officer asked me about my friend with a new place, I'd tell him that I befriended a talking fox. Do you live around here? In the village? The fox giggled and purred. She spun around so hard, the hem of her coat lifted up. No, dummy. Foxes don't live in villages. So you live in the forest, then? Have you been living under a rock? Obviously, foxes can't survive anywhere near humans. As long as they're foxes. Her jokes were also weird. Just like her carnival mask. Paper mache with fur glued into it. The dog reminded us that of his existence with a loud bark. I unfastened my backpack. Dad would sometimes throw food in there, without my knowledge, cookies, apples, or even my favorite crab sticks. He called it a gift from the bunny. The stray strolled towards me with menacing footsteps, with a pleading look in its eyes. The fox did definitely treat it to something, but it was probably still hungry. Why are you dressed like this so early in the morning? Going to a costume party? The girl shrugged, throwing silvery snowflakes off her shoulders, and her human form along with them, turning into a genuine beast. A real fox, agile, cunning, dangerous. A moment of hesitation, and you'll be ripped into shreds. She'll tear you up and gulp you down without breaking a sweat. I couldn't help but just stand there as a stump. Until I heard a calm, melodic laughter hidden beneath her beastly mask. I wish I could have seen your own mask, sweetie. Sweet? Did she say sweetie? I got embarrassed, went red from my hair to my roots. We'd seen a fox in a zoo once when we went there with Dad, but it had patchy fur, was gray and skinny. But this girl was a fiery color and furry, just like in fairy tales. I was still rummaging through my backpack, my fingers that were searching for the tiny dog's treats, stumbling upon its soft, crumpled object. You'll see. The real beast will wake you soon. You should ask them where they go with their human faces. The girl's shadow was dancing in the lamplight. The dog yapped in agreement. I freaked out and dropped my findings in the snow without getting a proper chance to examine it. Cold wind instantly covered the hole it created with snow. The dog rushed to dig it out, wanting its treat, and the fox just snorted. Now I was all so embarrassed I wanted to sink through the snow. It was still dark outside of the electric circle. On the contrary, the darkness seemed to be even more thick. All neighboring houses were asleep deeply in inkiness. I did my best to continue the conversation with the girl I didn't know. So, are you going to school? Oh my, you are a real dummy. Don't you get it? Well, I was trying to be friendly, but she can't stop mocking me. Calling me dummy and all. I should have just moved along without paying any attention to this weirdo and her stupid dog. Why are you so mean? Don't answer if you don't want to. It's not like I care. Still, something froze me in place, tugged me towards the dark figure. A mysterious appearance, her voice that was velvety and just languid enough. I was intrigued and excited. I watched her as people watch fires burn. Oh, stop pouting. Look here. Zulka took a liking to you. The dog was digging through the snow, with sharp movements, snoring loudly. The fox turned around and looked at the windows of the nearby houses as its timbered front through the white mist. The tip of her fake nose was shining under the lamplight. And maybe someone else, too. I went red again, like a boiled crayfish this time. Is she talking about herself or someone else? I hoped that the semi-dark would be able to hide my embarrassment from the girl. I cleared my throat before asking. And, who is that person? I waited, counting my heartbeat. The fox didn't reply. Her sly feature was screaming the frosty patterns of someone's window. She was reading them like a glass book. I wonder what she could see in those wintry paintings. The stray dropped rummaging through the snow. I ran to me, holding an object in her jaws. A mitten. Could it be the one I found in the forest? What was it doing here? When I took a closer look, I realized it was just my mitten. Maybe Mom stuffed it in there when I was asleep? A certain missing boy immediately came to mind. Hey, do you know anything about Vova? I imagined the scene, silhouettes dancing in the clearing. The dance of the night when Volva had disappeared. A boy who, when found, can provide a big reward and maybe save my family. I remember my birthday when our parents promised to take me and Olya to Disneyland in Paris. But instead of a long-anticipated gift, they gave me a simple brick game console. Visibly embarrassed. I was crying my eyes out back then, demanding they take me to a promised amusement park. That was the first time when my mom and dad had a big fight. My greediness shattered their relationship. If only I could fix everything, gather everyone I love and take them to Disneyland. On the night Volva had disappeared, I think I saw someone looking like you dancing under my window. It couldn't be true, but it felt like her mask became more sly. The fox was sniffing me out. Oh, and that got you worried? For yourself or for someone else? Olya. As soon as I thought about my sister, my chest tightened, and the cold sweat streamed down my spine. Well then, listen closely, my boy named Anton. This is a big and scary forest. The fox girl stepped forward menacingly. And I'm not its only tenant. Only other beasts already know about you. Beware! They will be coming again tonight. I shouldn't have talked to this evil in child form, I thought, panicking. When you and your parents will be fast asleep, we'll sneak really close and dance. Maracana! Huh? Hey, Macarena. Look at you. Your mouth's agape, Antoshia? He saw me near his window at night. Yeah, right. Are you by chance a dimwit? Nobody would let me go outside that late. Children go missing here, you know. I touched the plastic from my glasses, puzzled by her silly joke. She got me scared to death. Hey! Why don't you stop fondling your glasses? I was also nearsighted once. Listen to me and maybe you'll become smarter. Remember what they call foxes? Cunning? My words seemed to hurt her. Hey, what did you... sorry? Her laughter was akin to a jingle of a pair of silver bells. Just pulling your leg. Of course we're cunning. If you're agile and brave enough to befriend a cunning fox, I'll help you look for your Vova. There's a reason why you're doing it, right? I shrugged in reply. Her insight was alarming. I know why children have been swarming our forest recently. Sometimes you can find a lot of interesting stuff there. One day I saw a huge pile of candy once and I swam in it until my jaws cramped. Pile of candy? I couldn't deduce whether to believe her and which she was saying from her tone of voice. I showed her another smile, a fake one this time. Boo, so wary. Well, what will you say to this then? She held out her hand in a furry mitten. There was an assortment of sweets in her palms. Turbo. In the city where I used to live, sweets like these were sold at markets or in the kiosks. I saw my favorite bubblegum in a vivid wrapper amongst the tasty treasures. The familiar name was on it, Turbo. A triangular fox-faced poker turned nose towards me. Take some. My pockets are full of these. Don't take candy from strangers? No thanks. I didn't want to offend the first person I made contact with in this new place. But I also didn't want to take gum off the hands of some weird girl. What if she found it in the snow pile? Or what if it's prank candy? Some kind that blows up in your face when you unwrap it. I'm allergic to sweets. What? She sounded puzzled. Are you living in a world of pills and mixtures? Well, more or less. The fox whistled. Her palm was empty now. I floated in the air, catching a snowflake. now that all the candy had suddenly disappeared. And you only celebrate New Year's once in 12 months, right? And you have those... She clicked her fingers trying to remember something. Mondays? Yeah. I smiled. Man, you're a difficult case. I prescribed you a kilo of chocolate to battle your boredom, young man. Who are you? I refrained from asking that question. She wouldn't answer anyway. Or she'll just lie. I really wanted to see what's behind the mask. I was becoming more and more sure that underneath it wasn't just a simple young girl. What if Volva also found a snow pile with sweets and is now rolling in it? Actually, what if he decided to stay in the forest? He must be so cold without his second mitten then. The wind caught her words like a smoke from fire and carried into the depths of its darkness, into the creepy thicket. The trees behind me creaked with their bony branches. Or what if something happened to him along the way? Something terrible. The forest reaction to her words became alive. It sniffed me out, perking up its ears just like curious beasts. Fox Girl pierced me with her eyes again. Wild beasts? And you find that scary? Well, I don't know. He doesn't know. Oh my. Have I befriended a dunce? I didn't like being called a dunce, yet being friends with her sounded nice. My grades are good. Really now. Well, you come with me, good grades, Anton. We'll find your Vova, and you can be able to ask him what he found deep in the forest. As long as you're with me, nothing can hurt you in the forest. You'll see. Yeah, ain't no damn bunny. It's a whole ass box, bro. Worms of worry wreathed in my body. Better run, whispered my mind. I don't believe you. Do you take me for a liar? Whatever. You're just like everybody else. The girl sounded hurt, although I didn't know what she was genuine about it. She turned around as if she had immediately lost all interest in me. I remember my dad's favorite saying, "Where are your manners, son?" Indeed, this fox was kind to me. Please don't get mad. Foxes can also be nice. Like in fairy tales. I just need to know what kind of fox you are. The girl giggled, hiding the nose of her mask with her hands. Then follow me into the forest, and you'll get to know me. But not right now. When it gets bright, I mean, your whole body is shaking, you poor thing. I don't want you to get a stroke. Hey, let me accommodate you to school. After hearing this, the dog barked in agreement and stopped messing with my mitten. I leaned in, trying to grab the piece of handwear that almost ran away from me. Well, if you're going the same direction... We went towards the school in a lost dawn. Here and there, the lights came on in the windows of houses we passed as if their inhabitants were sending us warning signals. Silhouettes lurked behind curtains, dogs let out occasional barks. Spraying of gray smoke rose from chimneys, TVs bustled and dishes clanged in the kitchens. We watched the village slowly rise from the slumber, which carefully treaded the snowy white trails. I walked in the left one and she took the right one. The dog was following right behind us. I expected the fox to bring up something weird again, but she stayed silent all the way to school, as if playing with some game only she was privy to. She would only giggle from time to time when the dog sneezed from the snowflakes that fell on its nose. I was the first to break the silence. So what is your name? Here it comes. Names, names, names. You always need to put labels on everything. What name would you give a fox like me? I don't know. But I read about Elisa the fox. You know what? I don't mind. I'll be Elisa. I don't understand if she was joking or not. I turned around as if looking for an answer from the dog, from the dark sky devoid of dawn. My silent questions were left unanswered. The school's outline was already in our sight. A giant brick box stuck in the endless night. Lights on the windows did bode well for me. The warden's trees were guarding the schoolyard. Screams, childish laughter, and someone's whistling toward the silence. I went here with Mom when we had just moved to this place. Looked cozy at the time. Empty corridors, that smell of polished, puffy snow outside. Second time I came here alone to get my books, and just kept on imagining my peers rolling down the railing. Grade schoolers running the libraries and teachers marching down the corridors. with the air of self-important around them. High schoolers were smoking in the entrance in track pants and wool caps perched on their foreheads. Their appearance destroyed the last of my hopes for a cozy school. Their stinging eyes and teeth, yellow from nicotine, their smirks, all of it had some gloomy effect on the cloudy winter morning. Absorbed by my thoughts, I completely forgot my companion. I'll wait for you at the backyard after school. Near the hanged man. Near what? She just ignored my question. Don't be late! I hesitated. Blowing hot and cold again. Mom always said when I would have trouble choosing between two options. Think about Mom, helped me reply. I'm going straight home after school. Well, Antomsha, I am going to let you off the hook. But the others will creep up with you with their smiles and sink their teeth into you. I won't be able to shake them off as easily. Remember my words. Oh, shit. The fox opened her mouth with a wide yawn. What kind of trick is that? Someone running in the distance called out my name. I instinctively turned around. A huge snowball whizzed past my shoulders and hit the dog. It whimpered and ran towards the spring. The darkness devoured it. Fox Girl was also nowhere to be seen. She dissolved into frosty air. Where is she hiding in my shadow? After taking a deep breath, I went towards the school, towards the cutlass of dough, towards the light railing down into the snow. There was a fresh-looking Volvo parked nearby, with one of the front wheels perched up on the icy curb. Black, smooth, as if it was straight out of a horror story Dad loved to tell me when we hid in the attic during a thunderstorm. I remember always wearing a sad smile while mentioning the black car that snatched children. He would say, "It looked like a funeral car on the outside and the inside, white curtains and all. And it has DSC in its license plate. Do you know what that means? Death to Soviet children." Funny, I was born in the USSR too. Tall man was standing near the gate, puffing out clouds of smoke into the wind. He didn't look like a teacher. Was he the PE guy, maybe? I carefully studied his face that looked like it was cut from a piece of granite, and his sharp lips that was holding down the cigarette. He was playing around with his car keys and staring back at us. The light of the cigarette was reflecting in his eyes that were sitting deep in its eye sockets. I froze in place. The hulking man lazily tore his eyes off us and walked towards the road. The buzzing crowd of upperclassmen with their winter hats tipped to the side. I better not draw their attention. A thieving magpie. And it probably has all sorts of shiny things in there. Pieces of colored glass, bottle caps, polished coin, or child braces. I could hear muffled voices behind the doors, saw blinking lamps. Darkness creeped along the windows, and it felt like the school was drifting open space, like a lonely, lost spaceship. After going up to the second floor, I noticed a crowd around the notice board. Everyone was taking part in a lively discussion. I moved closer and took a look at something everyone was interested in through the walls of the backpacks. There was a piece of paper with something printed on it, glued to the left of the notice board. Attention, child missing, Vova Moitier, 10 years old. Vova Moitier, 10 years old, grade 4B. He left his home on January the 5th around 1600 and never returned. Was last seen on the bridge over the Samardar River. Was wearing an orange coat with a hood, a black wool cap, a scarf, and mittens with green stripes. Might have been a plastic toy gun on him. Features 124 skinny centimeters. Please call this number if you ever need it. That was his name. A 4th grader. Dead. Black empty eye sockets. It could be the darkness dwelling deep in the forest invaded his pores and multitude face. The plastic toy gun couldn't protect him from the whispering branches and the howling wind. The emptied eyes of the host boy pierced through the soul of his pleading. Unable to meet his stare, I turned around to rush to the window. Took a seat in the windowsill. The corridors were slowly filling with children, in groups of few. Nobody paid me any mind. In the darkness of school toilets, children's voices were humming in the nursery rhyme. For the fox, for the bear, bunny taste meal prep. I turned my head towards them, trying to get a better look at their features, but then my attention was stolen by a loud clicking sound. A female teacher marched down the corridor with her chin raised up high. Her heels were hitting the floor like miniature hooves. A girl was showing from her with every step. She was also looking pompous, stopping along the way, whispering some secret in her friend's ear. Hey, those eyes look familiar. She was probably a class rep since she was carrying an attendance registry book. Turn up, please. Take this, please. The teacher opened the classroom door and the crowd of children swarmed in, screaming and pushing. Out of all of them, the tall, red-headed fat boy caught my attention. His face was full of blisters. He looked like insane inside of a pomegranate. A bad feeling risen up in the hair on the back of my head. I've seen boys like him before. Unsettling eyes, cackling laughter. The girl, who was a smaller copy of the teacher, warned the boy with a wave of her hand and entered the room through the clearing of the crowd. Some other guy stood in the way of the crowd, and his redhead immediately shoved him. Move your legs, moron! The boy flew head first, flailing his hands trying to keep his balance. The fatso burst out laughing, and a couple of the kids joined his nasty cackling. Their laughter sounded like someone was snipping a huge garden scissors. The classroom sucked in all the children, and the corridor stood empty. I wanted to grow roots and stay in the windowsill. Just a handful of lampposts outside were battling the darkness, breathing like fluorescent fish in the black ocean. Maybe I could still run away. Go outside, dissolve in the dark. I imagine myself running through the snow, how it squeaks under my boots, and how I become lighter and lighter every step. The ringer's trill blew that illusion away. I tore myself from the window with great effort, and took a couple of deep breaths, trying to at least calm down my mad pulse, and entered the classroom. 204. The prim teacher looked at me over the frame of her glasses, clearly annoyed. I'm the transfer student. I was told to come here. The snowy forest trail was winding in front of my eyes. The pines rustled, but it didn't sound like predatory anymore. Verity faced the registry and flicked through the pages. Your last name? Petrov. Ah, what are you mumbling there? Say it clearly. Petrov. You're not on the list. She measured me with a long and heavy stare, as if trying to see if I was lying. I wanted to sink through the floor. Hazy faces observed all of that from the left. The classroom breathed and snorted in unison, like a living organism, like a dangerous beast. Are you sure? I don't have you in my registry. My knees chose the worst time to start shaking. I felt dizzy. I clutched my fist so hard my knuckles became white. They told me to come to class 204 to ask for Lila Pavlovanan, class C60. Apparently everyone in the class took my words as some sort of joke because they were all laughing. What is wrong with this school? The classroom fell silent. The kids hid their smirks for a bitter occasion. Why do they hire so many interns? They all know how to put the lipstick all over their bulging lips, but when it comes to real problems, I have to solve everything. How did they send you here without the proper paperwork? Ugh. We've had the same thing happen so many times already. Wait here, I'll be back. After I have a little chat with them. The teacher flew past me, mumbling something to herself in righteous anger, as I was left standing in the center of the classroom. Like a convict in front of the firing squad, I lowered my gaze, feeling the mocking stares all around the classroom directed at me. They prickled my skin, danced on it like laser sights. Once again, I imagined running away from this place, fighting the clawing wind, soaring high above the pines in one long jump, with the wind in my back and as my only companion. My eyes at my future classmates were asking, this new boy, is he one of us or an outsider? Somebody whispered something and stifled laughter rolled through the classroom. Wipe the board! It was easy to guess who was the main prankster here. Hey, Four Eyes! Are you not only blind, but also deaf? I said, wipe the board! My knees weren't the only thing shaking as part of my body anymore. I was trembling from the head to toe, and I prayed for the teacher to come back soon. My prayers were answered by the powers that be. And what should we do now with you now? Where will you sit? Oh, well, you can sit with Simeon, I guess. He's alone anyway. No way! The fatso put his backpack at the seat behind him in defiance, scratching his belly and smirked. Are you back to your old tricks? Should I call your grandma here again? The classmate room went silent. What is she gonna do? I'll be the one to do something if she doesn't. Put your backpack now! Simon didn't move a muscle. He started studying the portrait of the writers on the wall, looking bored. I needed to do something to resolve somehow, to save myself. I cleared my throat and continued in a stifled voice that sounded nothing like me. I can sit in the last row. I think there's a free seat. The teacher snorted loudly. She looked at me, then at Simon, then back to me. Fine, go there now. And you, Burin, I'll have a talk with you later. Come after me at the class. You'll be on cleaning duty, got it? Simon's face got a twisted smile. Juicy pimples were growing on the tip of his nose, ripe from the taking. I walked carefully, afraid to stumble and fall, cause another outburst of laughter from everyone. I took my seat at the back of the glass table where I was met with a pile of old posters. The outcasts took their seats and the class was ready to start. Now there is settled. Let's start class. Today's theme is the tradition of Russian and international literature in Zonshenko's Don't Lie. The fatso turned back to me. His stare informed me of the coming days, weeks, and months of bullying. I've got my eyes on you as with the water down now. Ew. After a couple of periods, I'd already noticed a huge yellow spit stain in my notebook. Then, at the cafeteria, this Simon accidentally spilled a glass of compote on me. And then, he flailed his hands around after exiting the toilet, so some of the liquid from his hands would get me on me. Just before the final period of the day, Simon pushed me into the buzzing crowd of girls from our class. They made way, cursing, but I couldn't hold my balance and ended up ramming my face into a girl. I took her for the class right before, right into her chest. Ow! I immediately stepped back, dying from embarrassment. I'm sorry, are you alright?
Yeah.
Then she suddenly put her hands on her hips. Well, will you look at him? Groping me in front of everyone. I'll tell my mom. Then you'll expelled, you pervert. There was some sort of sadistic pleasure in her eyes, as if she was a child who was about to put a lit-up match in the chafter beetle. I didn't mean to, he pushed me. Well, we all saw that, you know. No blind among us. She stared at my glasses while showing me a creepy smile. I started to fume on the inside, but Simon's laughter cooled my head. I pushed you, you sure? He swaggered up to me, enveloping me in the smell of sunflower seeds and rotting teeth, and then pushed me to the ground. Like this, huh? What you gonna do now? The bully towered over me, as if saying, come on, hit me. Let me see you try. If I fight back, it's gonna be worse. But at the same time, if I don't fight back, it's gonna be worse. So fuck you, buddy. Listen, you. My throat went dry, my lips were moving on their own, and my voice was akin to a stifled squeal. Seymour wore a mocking smile. Go on, Four Eyes. Why didn't you stop? We're all waiting. If you ever touch me again... Seaman slowly stuck out a finger and poked my forehead. I did, so what? If you ever do it again... Here. Once more. And again. And again. And again. He was poking me with his finger so hard that my head tilted backwards. I must not cry, or I'll be done for. I picked the fight back option, not the endure option. What will a wimp like you do to me? My vision went blurry. My soul tore off from the floor. It rushed forward and threw a random punch without looking. Nice! Yeah, there we go! Nice punch! There we go! What I saw when I opened my eyes was a beautiful and horrifying at the same time. Yeah! Yeah! Seaman was holding his ear and blinking in amazement. Was I the first person to rebel against his absolute rule?
Stop.
I needed to run, but I was already surrounded by his cronies. Lillian, Pavlona, Petrov just hit Burr and... Simon's cheeks grew even redder and his pimples even whiter.
So I don't always realize
Like the heads of the larvae.
Larvae?
Huh?
What larvae are you doing?
But a smile flashed on his face. That was the only notice among his comrades. He got really close to me. The smell of rotten teeth washed over me. You are fucking done! His voice was evil and dangerous, like someone tore off the lid of a kettle with boiling fat. I was waiting to get hit, counting the thumps of my heart and guessing where his fist will go. The solar plexus, the jaw, the nose. But he was turned around and walked off. A thought, a cold and sober and extremely rational, popped into my head. I'm going to get killed today. I was late to leave the school after classes on purpose. Simon didn't attend the last period, so I was hopeful. What if he decided to dodge in cleaning duty and ran home, forgetting all about me? I heaved a sigh of relief, like someone on death row whose execution was delayed by a day. But I didn't let myself forget his tone, his revengeful gaze, and his scary electric smirk. While the other students were leaving the school, laughing loudly, I was pretending to skim through my book near the window. I was staring outside, nervously. Simone was nowhere to be found, in the front yard or near the school gates. I didn't really believe I was this lucky, so I decided to be extra cautious and stayed for some more time in the corridor that was gradually getting less crowded. All of the bustling moved to the first floor. There was a skeleton peeking out of the biological classroom. Some jokester put a cap on the American condor on its head. The sound of running water was coming from the bathroom. I was the only person left in the whole school. I'm not alone, I suddenly thought. It came to mind. I remembered the missing boy. His portrait was on the notice board near the schedule. I remember his smile and looking at me, and the fact that he was most likely already dead. Hello? I shrugged and turned around. At first my eye stumbled upon the black Viola case. Then I noticed the girl from my class was hiding it. Oh, those eyes look familiar too. She sat in the first row of the second column. I could swear I caught her looking at me a couple times. And I was sneaking glances at her myself. Sometimes it just feels nice to look at something pretty in the spring, the sky, or a girl that's not in the crowd that laughs in Simon's jokes. And she wasn't whispering the dirty laundry of other people to Katya. She spelt all the breaks just like me, staying in the classroom or looking at the window or drawing something in her green notebook. Hello. I turned red and pretended I was studying the pattern on the wooden floor. It was cool the way you hit him. It was just by accident. Almost. I started shoveling books in my backpack, or at least put something in my hands. Simon wasn't like that before. He's also transferred here just recently. His grandma told me that it's almost felt like he went mad. Even the upperclassmen fear someone. Did you know? But you're different. You're brave.
Mm-hmm.
I mumble in reply. Yeah, right. Me brave. A hero that has been standing around the hallway to avoid a beating. The girl looked at me with her clear, attentive eyes. Do you live over the river? In the wooden house? Yeah. Must be scary living there. And you also have to cross the forest. I wouldn't be able to do that. I shivered at the mention of the forest. I thought of the intertwining branches of the snake-like trail of endless darkness that spread like mold among the crooked trees. So I straight up lied. It's not that scary. What's so scary about it for you? She smiled after a brief pause, as if brushing off a daydream. Well, actually, never mind. My name is Polina, by the way. And I'm Anton. I already know that. Hey, Anton? She stumbled as if she was trying to decide whether she should continue. What are you doing after school? My chest felt prickly after her innocent question, yet somehow it felt pleasant. Nothing much. I stumbled and I couldn't finish my sentence. This man's in love. Most mics do, Beetle. Most mics do. That's the feeling I had. Elisa's predatory smile flashed in front of my eyes. That's what I was thinking it was her. Her playful eyes, the slits of the mask, were probably just a product of my imagination, though. What if that fox girl is waiting for me after school? Or was it another of her wicked jokes? I wonder if she's hiding a big red tail under that coat. I suddenly got covered with beads of sweat, like after a PE class. I wanted to take a shower, as if just thinking of the fox girl made me dirty, soiled my clothes, lured me into the forest's embrace. I have a violin lesson and then I'll be free. My grandpa hired me a private tutor. Our music teacher is a violinist, and he doesn't have anyone to teach here except me. She waved her free hand in the air, intimidating the movement of a bow of a violin string. I could almost hear the music. It chased Alyssa out of my head. I looked at Paulina's lips, catching her every word, and was frozen from the unusual sensation. They were warm, soothing, and tingly. It felt like it was very small, and the feeling were immense, and they couldn't fit inside me. They say there's a serial killer on the loose in the village. Normally, Grandpa would escort me home from school, but he's been sick lately. I stuck a glance at Volva's photo. His eye wells were studying me. His lips were wearing a black lipstick. Just like that portrait on the gravestone. Dude, it gets creepier and creepier every time we look at it. I mean, I'm not a coward. It's just... I think it'll be safer together with you. Will you go home with me, Anton? There it was. Finally, everything that I read about in adventure books, everything I dreamed about was seeping into my life. A mysterious crime, a beautiful stranger, a heroic duel. A duel. Thinking of Simone instantly sobered me up, returning me back to Earth, and it started shaking under my feet like a deck of ship. If only I could rise to the occasion in front of Paulina, because no matter how brave I was trying to act, it was obvious for both of us that I wouldn't be able to stand a chance against a big guy like that. And him knocking me out won't even be the worst of it. The worst part of that, Paulina will see all of that. And she'll laugh at me like everyone else does. No, I don't need anyone to see me in such a shameful state. I doubt I'll be able to today. You know, Simone is waiting for me outside. I need to deal with him one-on-one like a man. Nonsense. Paulina brushed off some hair from her forehead, and I sensed a weak aurora of blackberry. Paulina was like water when you were thirsty, gulping it down and still wanted more. I remember the summer evenings at the country house, the fire, pingit smoke, the berries, hanging over our fence from the neighbors, and a soft cover of pine needles under my soles. Those few peaceful days when I felt completely safe. My mom resting on the hammock, my dad putting meat in the skewer. Could I have foreseen the upcoming catastrophe in the crackle of the coals, like my parents' laughs and the smell of the fleeting July? Could I have seen how fragile the world was? Do you really think that Savage will give you a fair fight? He'll just swarm you with his friends without giving you a chance to catch a breath. Paulina suddenly flashed a devious smile. But if we go together, they will be put off. I'm not the only first violin in this village. I'm also a girl. I've heard from a delinquent I know that he'll never attack someone when a girl's around. Can you imagine? They have the weird code of honor. Delinquent, you know, I thought, worried. Is he better than me? Taller, more handsome? Oh, I have to get to music class. She made a couple of steps and stopped. Amazing. Paulina didn't look like those beauties from the magazine posters or the actors from the movies. But in the flickering of the light of the ceiling lamps, she looked much more alluring. Can you play anything? My parents bought me a guitar a couple years ago. I immediately remembered my meager attempts at making music. Changes. We're all waiting for change. Just as songs echoed through my heart and my desires to change something. The guitar got lost somewhere if refusing to move in the old house near the forest. I think my parents gave it away, or someone that I needed it more. I don't, sadly. A pity. Oh well, I'll be going. Bye. Her shout was captured with a loud echo. Her shoes also echoed through the school hallways. Bye. I wasn't sure if Paulina heard me. I looked out the window again. The schoolyard was empty. Just a couple of grade schoolers throwing snowballs at each other. Nobody who looked like the hulking Simon with his cronies. This was giving me hope. What should I do? Paulina could become my friend, the first one in this new place. And aside, she may be in real danger of meeting the killer, and I'll be her defender, her knight. And even though my inner voice was hesitant and whispered about running, away from killers, luring into the woods at night. Polina was worth the risk. But the red cunning fox was also intriguing. She surprised me to help look for Vova, and this will bring me a reward. More money will also guarantee peace in my family. Gifts for Olya. I imagine my sister happily with these girls who get prizes from Seoul in the finest hour. She'll be dancing in the famous singers, maybe a new popular boy band like the Finnish International. Mom and Dad hugging in the old Pavilion. And then all of us going to Disneyland. An abandoned zinc bucket and the rag at the bottom of it filled with a broom with murky tap water. It reeked of the salty chemicals, and the stench was so intense that I felt sick. I staggered away from it, praying that I don't meet the same fate the person in the cleaning room. Turn me around and I'll tell you who's stupid. I bet something offensive is written on the other side. I wonder how long would Simon keep turning it around if he fell into his hands. Somebody left their school shoes in the windowsill. Judging from their size, they belong to a boy my age. Okay. So either we talk to the quite creepy yet intriguing fox girl, or we go to the girl we fell in love at first sight. Snow danced in the air outside the window, following the rhythm of the music that was flowing from around the corner. I jumped off the windowsill and started walking along the hallway, curiosity eating me away. In half an hour, I spent there waiting, crawled at a snail's pace. I wanted to see Polina again. The music became louder. It streamed out the half-open door at the far end of the corridor. My taste in music was limited to the timeless classics, the pop songs I saw on TV, along with my music videos that would sometimes be put on tapes to treasure before a movie. But the violin melody captivated me, and it felt like a master woodcutter working its delicate wooded fragile crystal toys, a gust of warm wind. I pressed my cheek against the doorway. Polina was hiding from me in the far end of the classroom, but the shadow that fell from the wall definitively belonged to the girl with the violin. The movements of the bow were so graceful that I felt like I was getting carried away in the waves of the music. My heart broke the barrier of my ribcage and started to hopping around. Faster and faster it jumped, on snow piles, gliding between pines towards the fiery sun above the window wall. Got tired of waiting? I was so deep in thought that I didn't hear the approaching footsteps. After bathing in the music, Polina felt even more magical. Oh, no, not really. I was just thinking about my comic. For some unknown reason, I lied. You draw comics? Yeah, well, I mean, I want to draw one. Oh! And what will it be about? About the most charming and kind girl that plays a violin, who somehow happens to be in this house of horror. About a fox. That's an interesting answer. Oh, I mean, about talking animals who help children who get lost and return home from the woods. And they dance in the night. Wow! Sounds interesting. Did you come up with it with yourself? I lowered my gaze. I got inspiration from looking out the window. You went on a date with Polina. Nightly vows. We descended to the first floor. I opened the door in the front of Polina. Dad told me essentials to be a gentleman. So, you're an artist, huh? I had a hunch you were different. Special. Are you joking? Me? I'm absolutely average. Simone is the average one. An average idiot. And you carrying something kind and fluffy inside. Something barked near my leg when we were crossing the schoolyard, interrupting Polina. Eek! Don't worry, it's just a sulcula. I stood on one knee and rubbed the barking dog behind the ear. It was frantically wagging its tail, like it was some sort of propeller. I looked around the yard trying to find Alyssa. But the fox girl was nowhere to be found, neither in the yard nor the road. Leave it be. It's a stray, you know. What if it has pests? No, this one has an owner, I think. Polina looked at the playful dog with disgust, covering her mouth with a handkerchief. Do you have any food on you? I think I have something left. We'll feed it and go, alright? She took out a sandwich out of her bag and threw it to Zaloka. The little dog rushed to its banquet. Sweeping away the bread with his nose, she started eating the bologna. What a pecky eater. Come on, eat everything. Polina tugged my sleeve and egged me on. Hey, what's wrong? She replied with laughter. Wallinger had literally dragged me out of the school gates, stifling laughter into a fist. I turned around. Luca followed us with sad eyes as if we were leaving. The dog looked especially lonely with the school as the backdrop. And then Polina just stopped laughing. She walked alongside me with a blank stare, completely silent. Don't spread pests. Her remark turned out pretty harsh. Was it really the stray's fault as she had lived in the streets? They always attack people later. A pack of those almost killed my grandpa last winter. That's horrible. Is he still not feeling well? He's paralyzed now. He will never be able to walk again. I remember the scary pack of dogs that was chasing me just a while ago. I'm sorry. It's okay. Polina showed me another enchanting smile with her eyes half closed. What's the matter is that we understand each other now. I forgot all about Zilkula after she said that. Some third graders were throwing snowballs at each other and singing, 1, 2, times to play with you. Ow. Olia. An image of my sister sitting near the window, bored, looking for me in the twilight, flashed before my eyes. I promised myself that I would go home as soon as I escorted Polina. What is that song the kids are singing? It's the second time I've heard it today. We were walking down the main street. Somewhere near the tractor was grumbling, cleaning snowdrifts. Ravens flew across the ashen sky. A flock of blackbirds circled above us like scary crosses that ran away from the graves. The owl one? It's just a local nursery rhyme. Grandpa used to sing it to me when I was little. He's very knowledgeable about local history and folklore. And what does that rhythm sound like? Listen. She started walking backwards, facing me and smiling. 1, 2, time to play with you. 3, 4, 5, the owl will arrive. 6 on the end, the wolf's gray fur will stand. 7, 8, stomp your hooves and wait. For the fox and for the bear, bunnies taste meal prepare. I thought that I'd already met a fox this morning. Thankfully, I hadn't met any wolves or bears. As if I was looking by the girl by its side, it became strangely brave, so I said something unexpected. You have a beautiful voice. Polina adjusted her hair, slightly embarrassed. Thanks. And is that the end of the rhyme? Did the bunny prepare those meals? Who knows? Nobody will be able to tell you now. It's really old. I'd even say ancient. There's a legend related to it, though. Want me to tell you? Of course. All sorts of tribes have lived in the Taiga Pack back in the day. Grandpa told me that this well, some sort of right when a boy was ready to become a man. I listened closely. I mean, I was also really close to the age myself. They would lead them into the woods where they needed to spend 3 days hunting. There's a legend that a young man who went to the taiga and never returned, and then suddenly came back when they were already stopped looking for him. He was covered in scratches, dirty, cold. Imagine sleeping among the pines and bears and layers. His family rushed to help him, but he just fell unconscious. They bought a shaman. He looked at the young man's and his face became grim. He told him that he was in bad shape. The young man was convulsing until the morning, repeating the rhythm over and over again. Over and over. 1, 2, time to play with you, as if Taiga himself was whispering to him. And when the sun came out, he died. But the shaman said that he was already dead. When he returned, he came out of those woods as a living corpse and whispered the rhythm with his dead lips. I froze in fear. Are you sure it's not some horror movie? Folklore can be way scarier than movies, believe me. Grandpa said that it's the tribe just uprooted in a hurry and left it to the south. They must have been brave, if they lived there. Polina kicked out some of the snow pile with her small boots. Brave, but stupid. Did they need a corpse to appear from the forest for them to understand? Understand what? That they needed to get out of there. There's a big world. There's our village. The world. She spread her arms wide. The village. She showed a distance that was almost invisible with her 2 fingers. I often imagine big cities. I can look at the globe for hours. Or at Around the World magazines from the library. They have such a pretty names. Just listen. Reykjavik. Tel Aviv. Music to my ears. She started circling her eyes, shutting dreamily. Forest hordes towered before us, touching the low clouds. The road fell into a semi-dark between the trees. I could conquer the stage, perform in front of thousands. And I have stage fright. Oh, well, you'll get famous another way, by drawing. We both have our future, but what about, say, Simon? He may just get fatter, and he'll be spelling Pazorak. Yeah, made from dogs. We burst out laughing, exorcism our worry from our minds with lighthearted fun. If somebody will ever trust him with selling them. Oh, you're right. He could probably eat a whole lot of them in one go. Like, I thought the forest is less scary when you're not alone. I looked around. Ooh, tracks. The snow is sparkling, reflecting the last rays of the setting sun. My pulse fastened from the thought that we were alone. Yeah, you were right. Polar rushed through the fire break. Don't fall behind. I never fall behind. You know the way you speak. Just like the hero from adventure books. Was she complimenting me or mocking me? I didn't want to look at her hidden meaning. Not when you're such a wonderful walk. I mean, I like books. Oh, a well-read man? Intriguing. Man, really? I got embarrassed and my cheeks turned beet red, but I still thank the fate for being able to wander around the forest of Polka like this. The girl suddenly stopped and stared into the darkening thicket without making a sound, as if waiting for something. I felt uneasy all of a sudden. And then she asked me in a cold voice, Have you been there? Where? Deep in the woods? Polka burst out laughing again, shattering my anxiety thoughts. No, silly. In a big world. In cities with musical names. Does Moscow sound musical to you? To me, it sounds like the croaking of a frog. Melina froze and looked at me in disbelief. You've been to Moscow? Yeah. When I was little, Melina's eyes were starting sparkling. What was it like? Well, it's beautiful. Noisy. Neon lights everywhere. Neon lights. It felt like she was savoring these words. Have you been to the Red Square? Of course. It's so bumpy. It's been to Tismu and Vutka, too. I loved the metro the most. It smelled like... Like what? She ran up to me, grabbed me by my sleeve and stared into my eyes with clear interest. I can't describe it. Can you draw it? What? A smell? Great musicians can play smells. You're lying. I'll give you the cassette later. She started twirling in the falling snow again. I'll definitely get to go to Moscow. But first to Vivian. It's my dream. The capital of music. Mozart, Beethoven, Strauss. Polemic orchestras. National opera. I'll be performing and you drawing. Her enthusiasm spread to me. I wanted to do something right at this moment. And where do you want to go? I sighed and confessed. To Disneyland. I remember the Finest Hour show again. Olia preferred calling of the jungle, but I always spent my Mondays in front of the TV. Colorful tables, numbers and signs, and charming Miss Spoomove on the wheel. And prizes. Chocolate eggs, video equipment, and the most exciting ones, a trip to Disneyland for the winter. My parents promised to take me there, to the land of the mouse, and I believed them at first. Well, maybe they were also believed back then. Now they just reply with silence every time I ask about it, and it saddens me to no end. I have 3 words in my mind in these moments. But you promised. Polia seemed to read my mind. Getting there is easier than we think. Everybody has powers to mold their fate. She picked up 2 handfuls of snow. And then, as if she forgot about everything, showed me a sly smile. Want to make a snowman? Sure! When we get back home, I'll make a snowman for Olya too. She'll be happy. But for now, we were almost done with the first ball, rolling its shoulders to shoulder. Olya was laughing. Locks of her hair fell on a lively face. She was so cute when she blew them away. Haha! Why are your balls so small, Anton? Its only work is ahead. Make it bigger! Don't be lazy! I couldn't remember the last time I had so much fun. Olya swept her now crimson lips. Did you ever wish to go to another planet? Something flashed in her eyes when she said that. I couldn't really put a finger on what it was. To another universe, even. Olya sighed in what felt like relief. Then you should understand me. Our palms glided across the ball of snow, straightening up any bumps it had. An almost ideal white ball rose up in the middle of the clearing. Then another one popped up. We lifted it up from two sides and placed it on the small other one served as the foundation. Finally, Polina helped the third ball get on top of the other two. Getting the head on the right place is what I do best. Do you have by any chance have a carrot? Alas. There's no fear, no worries in that clearing. I became more daring, ran towards the thicket to crack a couple of branches. I pulled the interweaving windfall, but Polina's voice suddenly awakened me from my delusion. Anton! Something's standing there! I turned around puzzled. Polina was looking at me. No, that's something behind my back. I stared at her, her brows furrowed. Not a single trace was left on her cheerful atmosphere we had a moment ago. Polina? She slowly raised her hands and pointed to the darkness that was approaching the trees in the distance. Someone's standing there! A crooked silhouette, see? Rubbing the pine with her huge hands. I turned around, directing my eyes where she was pointing to. The area around the dry raspberry bush was empty. There's nothing there. It hid! Behind the tree! The collar of my coat felt suffocating. I pulled on it instinctively. I felt a spasm in my stomach. I smiled weakly and asked, hoping for a good answer. Is this a prank? Polina seemingly lost in her own words. She just continued staring deep into the endless forest. Bravery check, I thought, so I stepped towards the glossy black trunk. Polina's gaze pushed me in the back. I was trying to muster all my courage, but my inner voice was telling me to stop, to curl into a ball, to play dead even. Anything but to go there into the wraithing darkness. The twilight was sucking me in, limiting my vision. The clearing was deep as well, its walls prohibiting the sunlight from reaching the bottom. I heard the air ring, or was it ringing my ears? One step. 2 steps. I bit my lip to stop myself from screaming if anything happened. There was nobody behind the pine. I sighed. I turned back to Polina. Polina, there's no... Yo, Atakashi! From the darkness behind the pines, just like it came in from the cave, appeared smirking Simon with a bunch of his cronies. And who do we have here? Check out these 4 eyes, freak! Ha! Polina let out a shriek when the bastards shoved her away from me. They surrounded me like carnivores, pride making me step back. Simon's heavy leg blasted through the snowman's belly. The balls were rolled, crumbled, becoming a mushy mess. Just a single broken branch poking out. Polina gasped angrily. I also felt the torch of scalding hatred. The smell of sweat and tobacco attacked my nostrils, and inside my mouth felt sweaty, as if I'd licked a battery. Polina, don't be scared! I shuddered after hearing my own voice. It sounded unnatural, rough, scary. Why would you be scared? Worry about yourself. The fatso spit through the gap of his teeth and pushed me so hard that I hit my back against a tree. Well... Pissing your pants, sucker! I heard Polina's angry voice from behind. Stay away from him! I would have been better if Polina wasn't around. I wish he wouldn't see me in such a shameful position. Look, guys! Look at these guys! A girl's defending him! This music is epic! Yeah, you fucking wimp. You fuck with the wrong guy, transfer student! Simon was moving towards me, readying his fists. In that moment, the other delinquent in track pants made a loud whistle, and the hulking boy lowered his hand. It was unexpected. It seems like Bourbon wasn't the leader of this gang. In reality, they were all listening to the boy who was looking like a small carnivore, with very strong and sharp teeth. They decided against hitting me. They probably wanted to humiliate me in front of the girl first. Damn it. I'm not saying that word, but hey, Blank Jr. And who's that? Another of your girlfriends? He has a fucking harem, huh? Only then, I noticed Zilka beside my legs, trembling in the cold, snow plastered over its fur. It probably ran all the way from the schoolyard, searching for our smell. The delinquent squatted in front of the dog and beckoned it with his hand. Oh my. Come here, you fly-ridden bitch! The others let out a nasty laugh. The dog's ears perked up and started carefully moving closer. Yeah, come here! I've got something for you! Oh, fuck you, bro. The dog didn't even have a chance to sniff him when the animal abuser caught it by the ear and kicked it right under the tail so hard it flew to the nearest snow pile squealing. The whole gang burst out laughing and my heart got encrusted in ice. Even the birds that were perched up on the tree branches let out a frightening caw. Then I noticed something strange. Melina could barely keep herself from smiling. Does she really hate dogs that much that the skinny guy didn't amuse her? After locking eyes with me, she changed her jubilant smirk into a thoughtful grimace. Why isn't she running away? I thought in horror. At the edge of my vision, I saw something flash in the illusionary twilight of the sleeping forest. Or were just a bunch of bushes moving their icy branches in the wind. Romica, I won't be able to shit after this. Let me kick the fucking thing one more time. 2 negatives will make a positive. But the stray was already nowhere to be seen. What? Are you an idiot? Go and show the 4-eyed guy's place. In a way you'll understand. Yeah, you fucking owes you. Swimp, yeah, fighting the full fucking class. Sure thing. Simon brought a sizable signet ring with some geometric shape carved into the face. In a moment, I'll hit your blank face so hard it'll leave a mark for the rest of your life. Where did all my inner strength and bravery go? Stop. A whisper left my lips and my head tilted forward, hitting Simon's fist. Red sparks flew from my eyes. They're going to gang up on me and beat me up. Ramon, tell them to stop! Sorry, but the boy needs to sort this out man to man. And you just stand aside and watch. Besha, give me a hand! Simon gave me a rough push towards the bastard with a slanting eyes and he tripped me. I fell on the sharp crust of the ice, and the fatso stepped on my hand, preventing me from getting up. A painful groan escaped my throat. Did you hear him whimper? It was actually a blank or something. I started to lose breath in anger and resentment. The pain was growing. My ear was hot, and pulsating pain was shooting through it, like it was cut off and the ball of the nettle was sewn in its place. Why so silent, Toxa? Come on, tell us who you are, you blank. At that moment, I felt pure, unbridled rage, the emanating of my anger. Like a sprout of ink, I rose up from the depths of my mind, filling all my thoughts. Morons! Did you know that my dad is also a blank? Seymour burst out laughing. This became the last straw. Fear and anger were gripping inside me like mad dogs. He knows that Kaido got it. And he's a vet. He'll kill the likes of you with your eyes closed. One word from me and he'll... Romanica lifted his arms, stomping on my torment of lies, and a couple of steps forward. Simon slowly backed off, giving me the opportunity to stand up. Pines were swaying back and forth, like Solomon's guardians. Did he believe me? Or was he confusing by my face twisted with rage? A vet, you say? My dad also fought in the war. An Afghan. And yours? Mine too. Oh, really? And what force did he serve in? I stumbled in fear. Chopped in my rage throat and it made it bleed. He's full of shit, Romka. Sure as fuck it. Did you think it's so easy to trick? I can see through all your lies, little bitch. There was some nasty smile on his face now. This didn't bode well for me. Well, you've asked for this. The teacher saved you at school, but here... you're fucked! That's right. Pray that we found your old dead body come spring, huh? If only you stayed silent, wouldn't have lost a hair. Hitting Fatso is one thing. But fucking with the stuff of Afghan, where my dad spent his lifetime under fire on international duty, a fucking Dasta Morgo? Give me a good pounding, Simon. The thing was closed in on me again, and I ended up in front of Simon. Blood was pumping in my temples. Roman, please stop them! They've proven your point. Let us go. You can't go at any time. And we'll take out the trash in the meantime. What bugged me at this moment wasn't even the humiliating attitude from Rumka, but rather how sweet Polina had addressed him. The delinquents were pushing the girl towards the pines. Branches were swaying back and forth as if whispering something, giving me hope. I gritted my teeth, fighting the thought that I looked silly and took a boxing stance I often saw in the movies. Ah, what the fuck are you on, Mike Tyson? This was my first ever fight. I remember it for the rest of my life. If I don't get my... kick the bucket, of course. At the edge of my vision, I noticed the darkness wreathe again, as if someone was walking back and forth there. I sensed Roma's claws grabbing my backpack. Give me a shit, Ankazov. I'll get it in the way. I was about to refuse, unwilling to cooperate with the bastard, but then he fisted a butterfly knife out of his pocket with one smooth motion, spun it as if showing it off, and put the blade to my neck. Hey, easy, buddy. I can make it painful. Let out a cloud of steam instead of words. Rumka pulled all of his might. My backpack ended up in his hands. Polina shrieked. Romanok winked at her as if saying, "Don't worry, I've got this." Calm and relaxed. An insidious smile on his face, he looked into my backpack. Are you hiding something from us? Some rat stole my school shoes. Let me see if it was... And what's this? Romana gave me a dubious smile. What do we have here? My texts and notebooks fell from the snow. He was holding my backpack in one hand and some weird in the other. Looked like a mask. Roma lifted it high as if showing someone else to someone in the roof treetops, in the twilight among the trees. An old bunny mask. Long worn out ears, barely visible, making whiskers, mangy fur on the sides. Where did it come from? Who put it there? Simon laughed. It's the way past New Year's, moron! Or are you really that loony? It's not mine! Oh, come on. It was in your backpack. Romaka was watching this scene unfold with an evil smile on his face. Savages! This is the first time you've seen a mask? As shitty as this? Yeah. You know what? Put it on. Why? Because it's telling you to. You'll hop like a bunny for us. Yeah, come on! Or we'll leave you pantsless, ha! Not when Polisa was here. It won't. Simon, put it on him. Bisha rushed to his friend's side and took the worn-out mask from him with a buffoonish bow. Then he passed it to Simon, who was already rubbing his hands in anticipation. I looked around the pines, as if waiting for help, as if the shadows that wreathed around us could take pity on me and take my side. Branches looked in like my arms, twisted in unusual angles. Blackened bark was their charred skin, and the darkness was the smoke they produced. I can't run. Won't get away. They'll catch me. And then? No, I won't run. Won't abandon Polina. Let me warn you, Simon. If you won't hop, you'll get this... You'll take his place. Got it? This piece of shit won't. Just look at him. He's a total loony. This loony had already smacked you in the face. Drunka's right. Come on, Fatso. Assert your fucking dominance. Or we'll make you hop so hard your pig tits will fall off. You must indeed be scared of Romnica. Simon swore silently and glanced first at me, then at Polina. Here. It'll fit better this way. He hurled a big ball of spit in the inside of the plastic bunny face and put it close to mine. His spit looked like a squash spider. Omanuk's face twisted. He spasmed like a beast, like he wanted to tell Simon something, But then he suddenly stopped. Polina covered her face with her hands in terror. Simon was still close by, with a disgusting smirk on his face and a terrible smell coming from his mouth. Put it on fast! Or you're dead. The mask almost looked even more disgusting now, yet despite everything, it felt like it was a chance for salvation. It could become my second skin, if only I was to put it on, if only my face was to touch its bumpy surface. I'm sure the fur will glitter, the ears will tremble like they were alive. I need to put it on, and Seymour and his friends will be gone. Forever. Oh, no! In the face of danger, in the face of being a stubborn prick, you tell them to fuck off. For some reason, Romoka's disappointment with Simon made me feel brave. Something was wrong in their crew. Some old disagreement. I should cut this old wound open. You know what, Seaman? My voice smooth and determined with a huge surprise. I stepped forward and calmly proclaimed, "Fuck off!" It felt like the whole world was paused for a second and then unpaused right away. Simon's pupils widened. The mask fell out of his meaty hands. He took a while to process my words, looking stunned as if he was trying to solve a difficult math problem, but the answer he got made him mad, judging by the bulging veins on his forehead. The others just observed the scene silently, waiting for the inevitable payback. I noticed Polina's face stretched in horror. You're dead! Simon lunged at me like a hawk and clawed at my face with his twisted fingers that gnawed fingernails. I threw a kick towards the layer of fat under the coat. Yes, get him! At the same moment, the world became fuzzy and blackened trees and faces of my classmates all blurred. My glasses. What, I can't see without them, sucker? He threw up his hand, though I was holding my glasses towards the sky so I couldn't get them. Give him back! Give it back right... I was interrupted by a leadening fist that was sharp and signet that hit me in the brow, producing a cracking sound, throwing me back in the frozen earth. The circle of blurry faces dying with disgust laughter was mocking me, making me want to puke. As soon as I was almost able to catch my breath, a blurry figure rushed towards me, but instead of a new hit, I was offered an outstretched hand. I immediately grabbed it, hoping it was Polina, but I soon realized it was wrong. After it felt like a sting of dry blisters on the palm. It was Romka. He helped me stand up. Can't see anything for real? His voice sounded compassionate, which surprised me. I squinted, trying to find Polina in the fog before my eyes. She was gathering my things and putting them back in my school bag. And what about your hearing? Huh? He leaned in close and asked with a voice that felt like was West Layweather's friendly. Can you hear me fine, Atoshka? Yeah. I blinked in bewilderment. Well, then listen closely. He brushed off my coat, and then hit me in the jaw with all his might. My jaw clicked. If my tongue was between my teeth at that moment, I would not only be blind, but I would also be talking worse than Pushka. I staggered. The world around me spun like a peg top again. Munda held me by the elbow, preventing me from falling over. Anton! Bisha locked her in his arms, preventing her from running to my side. Consider this a warning. If I ever see you anywhere near Polina, even a meter close, I won't let it slide. Got it? Yeah. And this is to make it stick. His fist landed on my temple. The world turned upside down. Felt like I was falling into the sky of colored decaying meat. I grabbed a root to stop myself from tumbling more. My consciousness was drifting on top of the abyss, gliding to its depths like deflated balloons. I tried to get up. The blurred silhouette probably belonging to Polina was fighting back, but two others held her by the hands and dragged her away. We'll take you home. Don't be scared. Yeah! Who knows what kind of psychos roam the forest. And Tosh here should rest for a bit. Polina! Veronika's boots met with my face. My hands got twisted, and the back of my head hit the ice. My eyes obediently rolled over. But darkness jumped out, took a stance, just to devour me. Ah, I overestimated myself. No, I didn't. Ugh. I turned around, dug my nose into the bedsheets, forced my eyes to open with great difficulty. Painting on the walls, books, a pile of comic books. I felt my chin, afraid that it will respond in sharp pain. My fingers slid across my face and temples. No bumps, no pain. I sat up, blinking surprise, fixing my glasses. Studied my hands, clean, without any mud under my nails. My school bag was reclined against the table. I heard bits and pieces of conversation through the door. I was at home, in my bedroom. Did I get here myself? And what about my glasses? Did Simon return them? Polina, maybe, or an unknown friend? I decided to leave that question for later and look out the window. The forest had many secrets, and it wasn't any hurry to reveal them to me. The clock on the nightstand showed 10 a.m. The sun was already above the field, but it didn't bring any warmth. The thicket moaned from the creaking bones. I went into the hallway, the conversation becoming clear. Laughter. I haven't heard Mom laugh in so long. In a silent house, among the sneaking shadow. Such an ordinary but dear laughter. I sneaked through the ladder of the lower floor, as if afraid to spoil the moment. And then I asked him, "Do you have any comics? I want to buy some for my bunny." And he goes, "Your rabbit reads comics?" Mom burst out laughing, Olia following suit. Yeah, I tell him. My bunny is well trained. Gosh, you're the best. Did you ever doubt me? Not even for a second. Mom and Dad sitting in the tree. When I entered the kitchen, Mom was kissing Dad in the forehead, and he was gently stroking her shoulder. Olia sat between our parents, armed with a fork. The polka-dotted cook pot emanated a pleasant aroma from the on the lid. Here he is. Hey there, sleepyhead. Took you long to have your father in that. The white canvas of the frosted window behind Mom's back made it look like she was on someone's painting. Come on, sit down. Take off a load off your feet. Breakfast is the most important thing for any healthy person. I sat down, a charming smile on my lips. Olia winked at me, and the lamp on the table flickered in unison with her. You look so sleepy. Well, what can you do? He's our child. He's already too late to hand over to the orphanage. Dad let out a dry laugh to show me he was joking. Mom slapped him on the shoulder. I'm so hungry. Well, do you think you're the only person who's dripping saliva over here? Big bro, will you eat like that? How? I caught the sparkling gazes of my parents on myself. If I had a camera at that moment, I would have taken a snap so I could always look back at these smiles on the photograph. I wanted this beautiful moment to last forever. Skybird, thank you for the raid. What's up? What's up? The light bulb went out and then came back. The window's glass shuddered slightly. Take off the mask, son. It'll get in the way of eating. What mask? A silly smile got on my face. Dad showed me his sturdy white teeth that looked like piano keys. Come on, take off, bunny. I slid my hand across my cheek, let out a laugh. What do you mean? The whole family was laughing now, pointing their fingers at me and slapping their knees in the tablecloth. Dad wiped his wet eyes with his knuckles. Well, good job making us laugh, son. Now take off the mask, please. I touched my face again. My skin went numb. But I'm not wearing a mask. Mom fidgeted with her chair. She tilted her head and squinted. The canvas behind her back turned gray and kept getting darker at every passing moment. Can't start until you take it off. I can't wait anymore. Take off the mask. Stop fooling around. His voice was kind but firm. Mom, Tasha's scaring me. Chair legs scraped across the floorboards. Olia moved away from me. She wasn't smiling anymore. Actually, there wasn't a single smile left in the room, if you don't count the cracks on the walls. What have you done? You made your sister cry. But Olia sobbed, her eyes downcast, sneaking fearful glances at me. Mom slammed her fist on the table and almost fell into the floor along with the chair. What a disgrace of a son! We were all having fun and then you came around and ruined everything! Splashes of saliva flew at me. I turned to Dad, begging him to explain what was going on. Sticky syrup trickled down Dad's beard, falling on his shirt. His eyes were looking in different directions. There was a loud sound in the attic. Water pipes grumbled. The house was alive. Every room had something rustling, moving around, breathing in it. The light bulb startled, flickering like a staboscope. The faces of my parents disappeared into the darkness, only to appear again moments later. Outside, a tall shadow walked past the window. I was about to jump up and run away when my body wasn't listening to my commands. My hands just obediently stayed on the table. I was just an onlooker. Azura, what's up? The lights went out. I spent 3 heartbeats in complete darkness. Then, the bulb flashed with a blinding light. 3 masks that were looking back at me with their gaping images. A fox woman where my mom was moments ago. A wolf man at the head of the table. A bunny girl, my Olia. I couldn't even ask why they wore these strange animal faces. And why the fur on them was moving as if there was something writhing inside the masks, making the papier-mâché bulge. My tongue didn't listen to the commands my brain sent to it. I could only shift my gaze between the masks, watching the long, twisting shadows behind the backs of my family. Bon appetit. She tore off the lid off the pot. A cut-off head was lying in the bloody grave. A pair of glazed eyes was drilling me from inside the pot. His mouth was open and a silent scream at the bottom of the pot belonged to me. Blood ran down the agonizing face of the cut-off head. At the same time, something hot started streaming from my nostrils, scarlet drops falling on the tablecloth. "Eat up!" I screamed. I jumped up, my jaw burning as were my temples. The kitchen, the beasts and animal mask, the dead head, everything had disappeared. Everything at the goddamn mask that was haunting me. One of the delinquents put it on me for the laughs. I tore off the bunny face that had already stuck to my face, threw it in the darkness and realized that I woke up near the crumbling snowman in the forest. Covered in snow and conspicuous needles, without my glasses and with a smashed face. So I blacked out. Horrible. Pulsing pain seemed like a gift compared to the horrors I just witnessed. I stood up, spitting out blood. The forest seemed like a prison that was keeping me in its wooden bars. I didn't know how long I was out. My limbs were numb from the cold, my pants were soaking wet. I stood alone in the ring of towering trunks, not being able to see anything. Everything around me moved, trembled, my ears went numb from the rustling. The treetops melted into the darkness of the cosmos. The bushes became empty cells, whose occupants were suddenly set free. I felt like I clawed, fanged, could fly out of the darkness into my stunned face at any moment. I heard the scream somewhere far away. "Anton!" Someone was looking for me, just like that boy who went missing. Tears stung my eyes, a big drop fell to my lashes. "Anton!" The scream was closer now, and for a moment, I even believed that I was about to be saved. "I'm here!" The light hit my face. I covered it with my hands. Flashlight's rays slid down. Anton, there you are! Are you out of your mind? What's this all about? My dad walked up from the shadows. I went towards him, hoping he won't melt. That he's not another trick of my insane mind played on me. He turned out to be real, warm and alive. "Cat got your tongue?" "I met a girl from your class on the road. She said..." Branches creaked in the distance. I pressed myself into my father's chest, engulfed by fear, and he started looking around, alerted, and spoke in a tone of voice that was much more nervous. "Okay, let's get out of here. If your mother learns of this, she will be mad at us that we will never forget this day." I reached out to my father, still feeling the chilling embrace of fear. I grabbed his firm hand, felt his quick pulse on my fingertips, then stood up and wobbled along behind my father, following the barely discriminated footprints. Back to civilization, back to the light, back to the road where my dad parked his car. "And not a word about this at home, got it? Don't even hint at where I found you." "All right, Dad." He was holding my hand as if it was the most precious thing in the world, and kept telling me how afraid he was of losing me or Oakley. I nodded and moved my legs. Only when we got in the car, Dad Did Dad notice my scratches? Did someone hurt you? I felt my cheeks. I got into a fight. Over what? A girl. Dad replied with a thoughtful nod. I heard the low humming of the engine. My dad wore a fearful expression. It wasn't that sticky fear that paralyzed me in the nightmare, though. This fear was noble, like a crystal clear diamond. He opened the glove box with some kind of napkins in there. Fighting for the girl you like is right. Yes, normally you try to resolve things with words. It's just, sometimes words don't work. That's why I told him to fuck off. Dad flashed an encouraging smile at me. Right as he was about to close the glove box, I noticed the peeking handle of under the rug. Ooh. He was carrying a gun around. My dad, a true intellect, had a pistol with him, like in action movies, hero. Or like an ordinary thug, some voices whispered to me. Pines were flying by the windows. The car's lights were struggling against the darkness. The car carried me home. Dad was cautiously studying me in the back mirror. I was thinking about the gun, about my dreams, about people in animal masks that pretended to be parents. The art is really good in this game. It really is. And the white snowflakes just kept dancing in the starry sky. And look what the cat dragged in. Mom was going down the stairs, piercing Dad with her trademark glare. Her face showed something between wraith and condensation. Suddenly, her gaze shifted to me and stayed for a dangerously long time. Hey, what's this? Where are your glasses, Anton? Did you lose them? Miss Dummy probably just forgot them at school. A venomous pause followed. He's your son, all right? Dad glared at Mom and then mischievously winked at me, reminding me of our deal. Well, we have spare glasses, so he'll manage somehow. My parents stood in silence a bit longer, and then both of them went to mind their own business. Olga threw herself into my arms before I could even take off my coat. I saw a fox! Surprise akin to shotgun blast. I could only flap my lips to reply. The cup shattered into many pieces with a loud thang. My mom let it fall from her hands. Her face was pale and her eyes were glued to the ground. This pause, just a split second, felt like eternity. Then my mom spoke with disappointment. First it was an owl, now it's a fox. Will you ever get tired of this? But it's true! She was so fluffy! She stood on our back legs near the hedge, just like a person. The fox called my name, but then Mom came and she fled. There was no fox. Stop making things up! Don't go near her. If it was necessary, I was ready to shake my sister as if she was a doll made of cloth. What's wrong, Tosh? Don't go. You hear me? Mom entered the hallway and gave me a surprised look. I hesitated. Well, a fox will bite you. I remember fairy tales where foxes used to kidnap children. I imagine Elise, a liberated carnivores, running through the night forest with a dangling sack on her hands. It wasn't a real fox. Tell him, Olga. She stood on two legs and she wore a dress. She was real. See? Mom showed us a tired smile, as if it was only an explanation needed. I also forced myself a smile. My smile was like a thin piece of soap right before it dissolved completely in your palm. But when I left alone with my sister, I whispered, if you see her again, run. Memories about my family and disgusting masks attacked bombarded me like the underhandled bowels of my classmates. The furry faces of my family stood before my eyes, their toothy mouths full of thick saliva. What's happening to me? What kind of tricks is my mind playing on me? This bunny mask was real. It just appeared in my school bag out of nowhere as if I never threw it away in the forest. I shut my eyes and threw the vitamins in my mouth, washed them down with water. Please stop driving me mad. Please. I barely managed to force myself to do homework, but those math problems just refused to be solved. Numbers on my notebook tumbled around and mixed in the whirling dancing, sometimes running over the lines. My head became heavy from the pandemonium, and I almost dropped into the chain of numbers. Felt my eyelids like they were tiny weights tied to them. I typed using the grocery stores. At the right of the moment, I surrendered and closed my notebook, and memories of my day started flashing before my eyes. It was in the middle of a stuffy school corridor. I could see the literature classroom from here, the faces of the dead classic writers on their portraits, the prim and regal poses of her homeroom teacher, Livia Pavlovna. And around the corner of her daughter, Katya, a snitch and a gossip eagerly awaited me. Hey, transfer student! Transfer student! What do you want? What do you want, kidda? She got her tiptoes and started swaying while holding her hands behind her back, and then she asked me with a fake smile on her face. Can I ask you something? Why'd you get transferred here? I thought I might have told the truth about this to Polina, but Katya will sell it to the market for 3 kapokis. It would be the same as printing all my thoughts and handing them near Volva's picture and encouraging to see. So I reverted to the answer I knew by heart. It's all because of my parents. My dad has a new job here. My mom. But Kinner didn't even listen to me. She just rushed towards the perked up ears of her friends, whispered something while stealing glances at me and giggling. Yeah, right. He takes us all for a fool. I've heard it's all because of his father. He crossed the road as some big shot, and now their family's hiding in a remote little village. That's not true. You're lying. And did you hear how Burnham beat him up? And all he could do was look at his pathetic and take it. Stop it. You know he wasn't alone. And if that wasn't enough, there were rumors that this weirdo carries a bunny mask with him wherever he goes. Who in their right mind would do anything like that, huh, girls? I see. Our Antakas and Toshka must be truly special. Maybe he's an autist. But what if he's a serial killer? I'm sure he'll be able to find an axe in his backpack if you look hard enough, or something even worse. Yes. Shut up! Look at him scream, as if something bit him. His pupils, look how wide they are. I hope he won't go insane and resort to violence again. I mean, there must be a reason his mom always feeds him those pills, right? I stood there in confusion, trying in vain to understand how she found out about my medicine. And what scared me even more was the possibility that her nonsense made some truth mixed in. Yes, that's right. He's as insane as his little sister. Can you imagine what she says? A human-sized owl visits her every night? Yes. But not a single healthy person has seen it. And it's simplest believe her. Can you imagine that? And then it caught a single kind look from the smirking crowd. Holy... How can it be, Anton? Are you really unwell? Polina, please listen to me. Yeah, right. Don't listen to this liar, Polinka. He's probably never even been to Moscow. This loser can't even stand up for himself. And he won't be able to defend you if he comes out down to it. He'll run away and protect his own skin. Weakling. Polina slouched as if someone kicked her in the stomach, and then burst into tears and fell into the dirty floor, yelling and screaming. No. Why, Anton, why? I couldn't understand her reaction, but I still rushed to Polina's side before getting shoved violently by Katerina. Get your paws off her, you monster! Rage is building up under the veil of the fear. It slowly rose from the cloudy mist. I felt my upper lip creep up, showing my teeth. The fact that your father beats your mother doesn't give you the right to do the same to our girls. My fists became hammers. I couldn't unclench them. Nobody could speak about my family like that. I came to my senses when I was already lunged at angry Katrina. Ha! He went nuts! Help! He went completely insane! At the same moment, the crowd around her became louder and started whistling and roaring. And growing. The subtle silhouettes of my schoolmates became larger and wider. They shot upwards towards the ceiling. Turned to giant black forms, choking off the toothy faces. I shrank to a tiny ball of fur and started shaking in fear before the might unclear. Written trunks that belonged to either trees or humans. It was impossible to tell. So you finally show your animal nature, coward! Katrina's face was twisted with jubilating mysticism. Anton, why? No! Why would you do this to me? Polina screamed while choking on her tears. He is just an animal, an outsider. Wait, Beetle, don't go yet. The scary flapping of the wings came from the forest. A pair of giant white ears descended somewhere from above. I dug myself into them. Anton, please! Wake up! I jumped up, almost falling out of bed. Apparently I was thrashing around for hours in sweat and soaked sheets. Only a scream pulled me out and set me free from the tentacles of fear. Anton? Please! Wake up! It took my eyes a whole while to focus on the silhouette near the window. Olia's face was distant, my head was still ringing with fight. Sounds got distorted, as if my eyes were stuffed with cotton. My sister, as distressing as ever, just kept repeating the same phrase. The owl! Please! I'm scared! Her tears poured on my heart like boiling water, but I was almost thankful for the hour's appearance. Otherwise, this scared Ilya wouldn't have been woken me up. Wait a second, Ilya. You want me to read Mokrat to you? Give me... I placed my bare hands on the cold floor, felt around for my glasses. Remember, Seymour had underhanded act inside. Anton, please, please, look! She couldn't tear her eyes off the window as if she was stating a contest. I found the light switch with my hand and lamp poured over the bright light all over us. I got up. My vision fooled around, moving the windows closer, only to push the further the next moment. My sister was just a blurry spot. I took a hesitant step forward. Well, yeah? Where it's there. What happened? Do you want me to open the curtains? No, please don't! The owl is there! The voice was coming from behind. I turned around and realized a frozen terror. Teary-eyed Ilya stood in the doorway. Who are you talking to right now? She stared at me with her eyes that were red from crying, with her hands wrapped around her shoulders. Her voice was nervous, as if she was afraid to hear my answer. I was talking to you. To someone who pretended to be you. The ledge outside my window creaked ominously, as if something huge was sitting on top of it. The thing that pretended to be Ilya started spreading, changing shape, growing in scary heights under the light of the carnivorous moon. Anton! Please! Come closer! Come closer! The voice didn't belong to my sister anymore. The thing that was hiding behind my curtains was tired of pretending, making me feel like a fool. I pinched myself so hard as I could hope that the silhouette near the window was just a cautionary of my nightmare, a hallucination brought upon by my cursed house. And those don't bite, do they? The silhouette was towering before me under the vile mist. I heard Ilya's thrill scream when someone had knocked on the window. Knock, knock. Came to get us! Another knock. I stepped back into the middle of the room. If there was an existing nook where I could hide this from my horror. Knock, knock. The sound was sharp, metallic. The lamp started shimmering. Then it suddenly lightened the whole room and went out like a candle in the strong wind. The filament inside, it snapped with a ringing sound. The darkness that was waiting for this exact moment poured at all angles to envelop me. There was only this window left in the whole universe. Moonlight poured through, painting everything the color of bones and was a human from the crypt. Ilya started squealing and pressing herself into my back, seeking protection. And then, an eye burning in the carnivorous fire started us from the window. Knock, 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 knock! No, it wasn't trying to break the window. It was toying with us. It just kept knocking, driving us mad. Knock, 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 knock! As if the giant clock was measuring the time left for us, its pendulum swinging above the abyss. Go! Get out! Shoo! She was screaming in desperation, her hands clutching my arm with a pair of pincers. Anton? Anton? Come closer! Come closer! I could barely make out a pair of wings that spread above the black spot. Tell her, Anton! Tell it that it won't be a bad girl anymore. Never, ever! I just wanted to leave. Please! The moonlight suddenly disappeared and the room descended into darkness. We couldn't see the blurring eyes anymore. I swallowed the stinging lump that wasn't sticking in my throat. I stepped forward, took the curtains. Entranced by the call of this disfigured guest. Ilya was standing behind me, mumbling, I'll be good, I'll be good, I'll be good! The bleak windows was creeping closer. Curtains rustled. I reached out and moved them aside so I could look at my fear in the eye. At that moment, I heard noise coming from our parents' bedroom. Without thinking, I pulled the curtains to the side in one swing. Nothing. Though there was something shining on the ledge among the scattered feathers. My glasses. The ones that Seymour took from me. How did they get here? Was that a gift from the gurgling night? Did the owl really bring them to me? I looked at the front yard and the forbidding clearing at the toothy forest. Not a soul, not a trace of our late-night guest. Only the old lamppost streaming like a lone watchman among the snowy desert. The dry window frame creaked. I tore away the insulating tape and stripped the glued newspaper. I opened the window with big trouble. Frost pinned me with the little needles. The painting on my walls moved from the draft. I touched my glasses, sure they would melt in my hands, but they were real. My brain was scrambling for an explanation. Simon and his gang just pulled a prank on me. That was it. That's it. A smooth white blanket was glittering under the street lamp outside our yard. If anybody was to get close to the house to climb the pipe to the ledge of my window, they would surely leave footprints, but there was none. I cautiously took my glasses. My wrist was still intact. Nobody pulled me into the darkness, full of rustling raving. Why aren't you in bed? I swayed from the surprise and almost fell out of the window. Are you out of your mind? Did you feel hot in here? Do you want to catch a cold? The owl was there. Tosh chased it away. Go to your room immediately and get into your bed. You. Mom paused, directing her seething eyes at me. She was thinking of a punishment equivalent to my crime. In the end, she just waved her hand, took Olia by the shoulders, and left, throwing gloomy words my way. We'll talk tomorrow. I managed to get to the frame back in place with a couple of hits, pressing at latches with all the strength that my fingers could muster. The cold left the room, but the fear was still present. I placed my glasses on my nose and started studying my reflection in the window. It didn't look like my face, more like a death mask. Just like the one worn by the boy from the notice board. That night, I was on the edge of joining him there. A black and white face was staring at me through the clearing between the students' heads. And it wasn't Volva. His face was right beside it. I recognized the fat cheeks and damaged skin. Simon. Oh, shit. Bourbon's photo was printed out and placed under the glass like an exhibition piece. Oh my gosh. That is the end of episode 2. Let me play with you. On the end of the Wolf's Grey Fur will stand is the next episode. But I'm going to end that here. I appreciate everything, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces!